Due to the suspicious behavioral pattern, the court forbade Dena Thompson to approach her ex-husbands and lovers affected by her actions. Later, she was labeled as "she is every man's nightmare" by society. Who was Dena Thompson? With how many men did she continue legal relationships, and how many of them were subjected to death? Did she is the one who prejudiced in this case? Or was someone else prejudiced due to Dena Thompson's activities? This is your partner in crime. Subscribe, and let's move along this mysterious journey ahead. Dena Thompson was born in 1960 in North London to a full family. Her parents had enough room to provide whatever Dena wanted since her childhood without any problem. Her father worked as a prison guard. He also always engaged in sports. He also inspired his daughter Dena to be involved with those activities and to go to the gym to be fit. After all, Dena diligently engaged in gymnastics. Thompson's father also participated in sports games. Because of that, he had to travel here and there. On such occasions, Dena's father did not forget Dena alone at home, but took her to every possible sports activity he participated in. Dena grew up more actively and cheerfully and was a very straightforward girl with a good personality. Because of that, Dena has the skill to grab the attention of any individual simply through a small smile. The girl completed her school education and then visited the college to continue her further education to a college. After completing all of her education, she got a job opportunity to work at a bank. When Dena was working there, she met his first spouse, Lee Wyatt. With the support of a mutual side, Dena and Lee met on some blind dates similar to that. Therefore, they started to legalize their relationship. Soon after the marriage, Thompson and Wyatt spent a very successful life. Then after the marriage, they decided to go to a city named Yapton. Yapton was a provincial city with a population of around 3,000 people. Dena gave birth to her first child soon after they came to Yapton. Now Dena's and Lee's lives were full of responsibilities. They slowly began to increase their small business, creating authors' soft toys, the images of which they invented together. Other than that, to make their financial status a stable one, Dena also worked as a cashier in a construction organization. This sweet family had a happy life according to their neighbors. Hours, days, weeks, months, and years started to blow. Dena's husband was out for a long time due to business matters. As he was not so close with the surrounding neighbors, neighbors even could not detect his behaviors until he disappeared. But Dena was very close to them because she knew how to win the favor of others and grab attention too. Several men tried this beautiful woman with numerous suggestions. At last, a man named Julian started to love her and needed to continue a special bond with Dena. Julian was a journalist. This man had also offered this woman to work as an advertising model for clothing and household appliances. After that, her photographs went on almost all the cover pages of the local newspapers and magazines. Months went on spending. According to the neighbors, Lee Wyatt did not come home after that time he disappeared. Dena also did not seem so disappointed without his beloved husband, and she had an affair with the journalist Julian at this time. 3 months after their affair, Julian introduced his future wife to his parents. When the neighbors heard about the upcoming wedding between Dena and Julian, they were shocked and puzzled because they knew Dena already was legally married to Lee. Later, it was discovered that Lee was working in a small town on the other side of the country and had also become a victim due to his skilled wife's advice. He had resided in that city with a fake name and fake documents. Lee had written some controversial letters to Dena and phone calls to her to prove he didn't trust his wife anymore in the future. Lee worked hard in the city alone and also didn't forget to send all the money that he found to his wife and child, so that Dena and her child did not have to depend on any other person to survive. Lee was lucky from one side. That is because he saved his life from his wife and left in the best way he could. Later in 1991, Dena married her favorite Julian. Meanwhile, Dena's first husband, Lee, came home even after knowing he got remarried to another. Dena tried to harm him, so, to protect from it, Lee had to beat his wife. Dena took legal action against him, stating that he beat him due to ongoing reasons in their family. So the law also had to take the side of Dena instead of Lee's side. After all, Julian noted her mental condition of Dena and gave his all savings to make it. Time passed, money melted. Julian had to find out about the progress of her mental health, but never had change. It was confirmed that Dena had not gotten any reasonable medical document with the diagnosis of her current mental status. Days turned into weeks. Problems arose among Julian and Dena. The neighbors heard how those two fought against each other. Soon after Julian celebrated his 31st birthday, he died. According to his medical report, Julian had died due to a drug overdose. After the death of Julian, Dena was supposed to get a large insurance payment, but suddenly it was denied. Dena was unable to prove that Julian was her legal husband at that moment because their marriage was recognized as invalid. At the funeral of Julian, Dena did not even try to cry, and she was quite normal. With time, this widowed woman spun out so numerous novels and started affairs with lovers openly without any hesitation. In 1997, Dena filed a divorce case against Lee, her first legal husband. Less than a year later, Dena met Richard, the next man who did not recognize that she was a nightmare. Dena told Richard that she wouldn't live any more days due to severe illness and would be subject to death shortly. Richard also even did not try to hesitate, blinded by her love, and decided to marry her. He also had told Dena that he would turn the remaining days of her into a fairy tale and would spend his every savings on her needs. The wedding couple played in the best hotels in Florida, spent their unforgettable honeymoon, and returned to their native England. They decided to settle on the southern coast in the city of Brighton. Less than a year after their wedding, Dena decided to offer Richard a romantic dinner and also decided to give him an unforgettable gift tonight. Dena asked Richard to tie him up with a rope. Without thinking anything, Richard accepted that favor. At the same moment, Richard was blindfolded over his eyes and a gag in his mouth. Then he was struck hard on the head with a bat followed by another. Richard not only lost his consciousness, but soon he recovered. Dena got a knife in her hand and tried to wound her husband's shoulder. Richard knocked the weapon out of his wife's hands, immobilized her, and immediately called the police. Police arrested Dena. Dena tried to tell the typical lie to the police. She said that Richard tried to attack her, and that's the reason why she attacked him, for self-defense. After all, a real estate agent came to find Richard and asked for his house. According to that real estate agent, his wife had said that her husband was leaving this country, and because of that, he had decided to sell his house. Richard then realized that Dena was planning to kill him, sell the house, and run away with the money. The case started turning into the wild. The other men who kept relationships with Dena applied to the police against Dena. Dena then was found guilty of numerous financial frauds and sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison. Later, it was discovered that the culprit who was responsible for Julian's death also was Dena. In 2003, the Black Widow, Dena Thompson, was finally brought to trial. She was recognized as the most dangerous woman a man can ever meet. Dena Thompson was sentenced to life in prison, but with parole eligibility after 16 years. After that, another previous case done by Dena Thompson was also clearly found. She had also killed her first lover, who was there before Lee. His name was Stoyan Kostov, and he lived in Bulgaria. She had killed him even without any evidence. This incident took place in the late 70s when she worked as a gymnast. What do you think about this case? Stay tuned. We'll catch you with a new nail-biting crime thriller tomorrow.